What's up, arm wrestling fans? And this is my second video now for reviewing what went down at the Conrad Hotel in Dubai Friday just passed for the King of the Table, which was in association with PR, which is Larry Will's brand personal record, and also the World Arm Wrestling League. Now, as we know, there was the boxing fight prior to this, and then obviously we had the headline act here with Michael Monster Todd and also Devon No Limits Larratt for the heavyweight championship in the arm wrestling. And obviously these two, as we know, I've covered in a previous video, which I'll link at the end of the video, have come to blows before. And this was the best of 6 matches and the third time that they'd actually gone head to head. I've done my best to condense the entire match, guys and girls, because there was a lot of footage that I had to cut down, because in between, as you can see, they've got the straps on that had to be being adjusted in between. There was a lot of wasted time in between, but the footage you're seeing here is the condensed version where the actual work is being done, where they're actually arm wrestling rather than all the bullshit in between, apart from obviously this little segment here where you can see that they're talking with the ref, make sure it's all set up nicely. So like I said, this was the main card, the main event, and the last time these two met was in 2018, and that's where Todd actually defeated Larratt by a count of 3 victories to 2. So this one was the rematch. Like I said, it's the third one, and unfortunately for Michael, as I predicted, by the way, in my other video, I thought Larratt would take it, and he did, and it was a shutout, 5-0. So he absolutely destroyed Michael, and Michael has been cited after us. He's done a video on his YouTube, he's done some posts and whatnot that he doesn't know what happened, but he's going to come back stronger, and he's going to do his best to prove that he is the best and hopefully redeem himself at some point. But irregardless, these things happens, and Larratt was the best version of himself, and also was Michael. And Michael said he's never fought such a strong arm wrestler before. This version of Larratt was something else special, and Michael said in himself he felt like he was his best he's ever been. The day he fought him on May the 28th, he could have beaten himself in the past many times over, but this didn't happen. Larratt just brought something special. Low Limits was there. This is a right-handed match, by the way, I forgot to mention. Arguably, the biggest in sports history for the heavyweight division. Both of them are big guys, way up there in the 240 pound plus area, or about that 220 to 240, I'd say. We're looking at the 110 kilo range. Anyway, first round obviously went to Larratt, as you saw. Second round, again, it's just so easy for Larratt. He's looking in great shape, to be fair. He's definitely been training really hard, and not we're just talking about aesthetics here in terms of the actual sport specific movements, everything he needs to do to train to be a better arm wrestler. It's there. But we know he's got some freaky forearms and freaky arms in general. There's muscles in there which, when he flexes them, especially in his prime, they're alien looking. No one's ever seen those types of muscles before on an anatomy chart or in general. That takes years of conditioning and years of training to kind of bring those out. And I think obviously that helps massively, because when in different parts of the actual movement in the arm wrestling, there are periods of time where weak points will let you down, whether that's in the wrist, parts of the forearm, the brachialis, the bicep, the elbow. We're talking about all the connective tissue, the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, not just what you see, guys. Not just purely muscle, not just shoulders, not just biceps. There's a lot more going on. The triceps as well. 3 parts of the arm. They may not be the pulling power, but they're there for the support. So, these guys need to work all those arms equally well, sufficiently, to be the best they can. And then obviously we've got the rotator cuffs, small little areas within the shoulder which are easily injured, and they need to be strong, especially for this type of sport, because it's very ballistic. There's a lot of force going through, in my opinion, very weak points of the body, and they've never been seriously injured, these two, from that I know of, but it can happen. and they're getting a bit older. Not to say, you know, they're out of it, but they're definitely not in their prime. They're definitely seasoned athletes. More mature, more experienced, they can actually prevent injury. They know if they're pushing themselves too hard and it's not worth it, they can feel something happening. It was good to see no one was injured, and you know, they both put all their heart and soul into it. But ultimately, you know, to go 5-0 just showed that Devon was on a different level, you know, and I was so impressed by his performance because he's come back from a loss. You know, he's won previously against Michael. You know, fair play. He's not on home soil. You have to remember as well, guys, they're not in America or Canada. They've flown a long way for this, and you know, there's different factors that can affect athletes. You know, from the heat, the humidity, the change of diet. You know, sleep. You know, time zone difference. All these things can affect you. You know, you're never going to be 100%, even if you settle in for a while to try to adjust to it. It's not necessarily, you're still not going to be at your peak because you are not in your home. You know, let's face it, you can live in America and go to different time zones. We know that, right? But it's a bit different to Middle Eastern time. And it's a completely different environment. You know, they're in a desert at the end of the day. Fair play, they're inside a nice air-conditioned hotel. You know, everything's set to their, you know, their liking. They're comfortable, they're being looked after and whatnot. But that's a factor. You know, these are all factors which can prevent athletes from performing their best. Do I believe that that was the reason why Michael didn't actually even win one round? No. I just think on the day, Larratt was the superior arm wrestler. He was the key. He was the athlete that no one could beat. I do think that, because I'm going to get to Schoolboy after this with Larry Wills, I do think we're looking at with Schoolboy the new Devon Larratt in the future, because they're both quite similar in terms of height and build, and their approach to arm wrestling. You know, they know their shit, and you know, we'll get to Schoolboy like I said, but for his age, it's just, you know, he's so young but so good already. I can see bright things for him, but that's obviously coming later in the video. In terms of what we're seeing here, you know, round by round, you can just see pure dominance. Michael doesn't lose his cool though. You know, he's laughing and joking, as you can see. He's enjoying it. He knows he's not doing well, but there's still a couple rounds left, so he could redeem himself. And you know, I was hoping he would. I really like the guy. You know, I've interacted with him a bit on social media. I watch him. He seems such a nice guy. As does Larratt. You know, the pair of them, they're not ego wankers. They don't love themselves. They're not thinking they're above anyone. They're normal guys. They're great athletes. But you know, like I said, my predictions were right. You know, going into the fourth round again, we see a different side here. So, you know, Michael's using all his body there, and he's just not moving Larratt's arm at all. Larratt using the leg, you know, interesting technique, you know, one leg up, but that's obviously clearly working for him. And you can just see how much he's in control. You know, he really is in control there. Don't get me wrong, Todd's given him a good fight. You know, he's not making it easy for him, but it seems that when he wants to take things up a notch and go in new gear, that's when it happens. Todd's got no defense. It's almost just like here, Larratt's chilling. He's making him work. He's tiring him out, and he's like, "Yep, I'm ready." Or when I am ready, you're done. You know, like you could see, Michael was struggling a bit. Larratt, to me, yeah, you know, he's moving around a bit, but in his face, he's not really gassed. There we go. So, very impressive rounds. All rounds, you know, we're seeing pure dominance from an athlete, which is great to see. Would have liked to see a bit more competition, because obviously naturally it makes it a bit more exciting when it's very close, you know, like 1-1, and then a decider. But on the day, Michael unfortunately wasn't the man, wasn't the champ, but, you know, no disrespect to him whatsoever. He's done amazing things. And in particular, he's very good on his social media. I think he's a bit better than Larratt, because he's very active on his social media, which is key now. You know, like sports like strongman and arm wrestling have always been a bit of a niche and kind of like an underground thing where you only really see it from die-hard fans. TV coverage is always not the best. It may not be on the best networks or the best channels, so we miss out a bit. So credit to Todd there, really trying to help push and help to grow and promote the sport for new people, new generation, and you know, I'm really thankful for him and others, and these two putting on a great show. So congratulations. to Devon. Well done. My prediction was right. Commiserations to Michael. It's a real shame, mate. But, keep your head held high. Work on a new game plan. And obviously, I think you will be having another fight in the WoW at some point. So, again, big respect to Devon. You should be proud, mate. You've come from, as you said in an interview, post-fight interview, that you come from a not such a good place, and you've really fixed things up for yourself by being able to prepare for this fight. So well done, and it's nice to see you two are such good friends and chilled and laid back and humble one another, and don't hate each other. It's good to see that within sport, and I really respect that because younger people tend to be a bit more of attitude and beef, but obviously you two are past that. So great first card. Okay, so on to the undercard, and as I mentioned previously, we have Larry Wills of America. I think he's 26 now. Obviously, as we all know, Larry, massively famous YouTuber now, powerlifter turned bodybuilder turned strongman, now has turned his attention to arm wrestling, and he was going up against a rematch, by the way, against Aleksandr Schoolboy Beziasyukov. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but aka Toproll, for his King of the Table pay-per-view event, which, as we know, was hosted by Core Sports World. And this was the rematch. So previously, when Larry was more of a novice, he still is a novice, shall we say, to the sport, he actually lost to Schoolboy the first time round. However, he's obviously had a lot of time to learn from that and prepare for this. So he took on a coach, an arm wrestling coach, and he's been more focused on that than, his powerlifting and bodybuilding antics. Don't get me wrong, we're still seeing his training stuff on YouTube. He's making his videos to try and get the clickbait, make the money from it. The guy has to show off. That's what he's known for. Respect him anyway. I'm not hating at all. I really like him. I love his backstory and everything. Very similar to myself, and hopefully me and him will meet one day. I'm sure we'll be able to resonate with each other in some similar life experience. But anyway, that's another topic. So obviously for this, again, it's going to be another 6 round cob. And unfortunately for Larry, he lost, and he actually lost all 6 matches. And there's been no official word from either one of them since it finished. And to be honest with you, you'll see later on in the rounds as we go along that Larry looks very rattled. I don't think he could believe that how easily Schoolboy beat him, and he literally swept him under the carpet. It was clear to see that despite Larry having really powerful arms and a powerful, strong body, he still isn't ready he certainly isn't ready to take on someone as good, even though they're younger than him. 21, by the way, for Schoolboy. He's not ready to beat someone like that. I think he's got a lot more work to do if he really wants to come back and for a third time possibly, and give him better go, because this was just like the Larratt and Todd one. This was purely one-sided, complete dominance. Toproll's skill experience, I would say, was glaring, and Wills couldn't overcome that. And looking at Schoolboy's confidence and his abilities, he even at one point gave Larry a chance to take him down in the final 2 matches, like the last 2 rounds. But none of those matches themselves actually took longer than 15 seconds. This was like looking at a skinny boy going against someone like Larry, because naturally Larry, he's going to be able to dominate someone who's quite weak. Not necessarily. I mean, if you look at Toproll, he's a big guy. Like, he's tall, he's heavy, he's 110 odd kilos, I think. He's not like a bodybuilder. He's not like got bulging, popping biceps and chest and whatnot, but he's certainly not small, But if you look at him, if you didn't know who he was and what he could do, and you looked at him and Larry, you'd naturally, like most people, because they're naive, they'll think, oh yeah, that big guy, he'll definitely beat him, no problem. So the fact that we're looking at someone who's such a dominant athlete, Larry Wills, who's been able to, try this, try that, dip in here, dip in that, and there, different divisions of sports and whatnot, and do generally quite well, if not, fantastic. Unfortunately, I think this time round for this sport, he's not as able to transfer that over as well. And like I mentioned about Toproll, he is considered one of the best at the moment and the future of the sport. And I would agree. You know, I definitely agree. And I think as long as he doesn't get seriously injured, because this was a right-handed match, by the way, guys, it doesn't have to switch to the left, because that can always be a problem for arm wrestlers if they get seriously injured and they can't use that hand anymore. They either retire or they try to improve with the left. But your dominant hand is your dominant hand. You can never match up your non-dominant as closely as that. So hopefully it doesn't happen for him and we'll see a nice long future for him. And perhaps if Larry doesn't quit, he'll come back and he'll be able to take on Toproll and maybe give him a better run for his money. Really, like most people, I was disappointed for Larry, you know, because it's clearly evident that his skills have improved over the last several months, and you know, he really is taking it seriously, just like Hathor has been with boxing. You know, the pair of them aren't being blasé. They're not thinking they can just wing it, have a couple sessions here, talk to a few people that do it, and be able to you know, alpha it just like that. You've got to prepare. You know, you can't in any way doubt or think to yourself that you know everything already. You know, obviously for Aleksandr Toproll, you know, he's a young guy, so to have this much experience and like maturity about him already is quite unique and quite rare, because yeah, he's been doing it since he was a teenager, but that's only 4 or 5 years, give or take. So, but that's still longer than obviously Larry. You know, Larry's been doing it for what, 2 years, if that, 2 and a bit. You know, and properly doing it, like taking every aspect of the training seriously, less than a year. So he's got a long way to go. You know, he spent all his time powerlifting and bodybuilding. That's where he built his foundation. He hasn't been doing that arm wrestling for years and years, so he can't just automatically transfer over like that and expect to do well. I did think he would, because of his physicality, you know, separate to the size of his muscles. You know, his muscles actually produce serious force and power, as we've seen. You know, he's a freak. He's a genetic freak, separate to the PEDs and whatnot, you know, everything he takes. The guy's a freak. So he's naturally not going to just come in and be a beater. He's not going to look like some wimp. But this round by round was pure dominance, you know. And, you know, Larry's just like, what the fuck? I can't believe this guy is just doing this to me. You can see in his face, he's rattled, absolutely rattled. And I would be as well, you know. It's an ego thing to some degree. Larry's younger as well, and you know, he doesn't want to be seen to be like a sore loser naturally, and you know, to be just smashed, like literally smashed to oblivion. But it'd be a good learning curve for him. Like I said, if he doesn't quit and he comes back and he tries harder, there may be, you know, maybe more to come from him. And you know, I'm hoping that will happen. I hope he doesn't quit. You know, as you saw, straps are used throughout because they couldn't keep their wrists in place. I've cut it out, but, you know, in between they kept slipping and the thumbs will come loose, the fingers. So, but both guys amicable at the end, sportsmen, you know, they're friends, you know, they're not gonna be like having beef with each other. But you know, congratulations to Schoolboy. You know, very impressive. You're definitely on my radar now, and I really like and respect what you can do for your age. You know, not to undermine anyone because they're younger, that they don't have the necessary experience, but your like raw potential and your natural ability to the sport is very impressive. And you know, even here coming up, you even did a left-handed wrestle with Michael Todd, which you also beat him with. So I mean, look, Michael's not even bothered. He's like, yeah, screw that. I'm not even bothering that guy. He'll rip my wrist off. So it's really funny to see that, you know, he's quite an all rounder. Like even his left hand is strong. Like, his left hand is strong enough to easily beat a champion heavyweight. I mean, what is that about? Like, I mean, he's also a genetic freak, I think, because, you know, if you look at him, he's not much to look at. So, but anyway, I hope you guys like the both of those comps. I certainly did. I hope you liked my video, and if you did, as always, guys and girls, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I'm going to be doing more arm wrestling videos in the future as they come about. I will cover more athletes that I haven't today. Just want to give congratulations to all the athletes who took part in the boxing and also for the arm wrestling. Sorry I can't cover it all, but there's just too many. But anyway, guys, take care and I'll see you soon. Amigo and Finis, signing out.